Hi everyone, this episode is going to be about bezels and bezel manufacturing. Ever since I bought a watch with a missing bezel, I've been thinking about how to replace this bezel and manufacture a new bezel. Recently I had this idea to get an aluminum sheet cut in the bezel dimensions, 4mm width, and putting it on a lathe and maybe adding the curves necessary for it to latch on. Then I realized that 3D printing exists and I can actually get it 3D printed as well. Before that I was even thinking about getting it made in white gold by a jeweler, but it would have been very expensive. They say that the manufacturing costs for jewelers is equal to the gold cost, so it was going to cost around $300 just to get a simple bezel made. In theory, probably in practice a bit less, but obviously it's a lot for a bezel, and I was worried that the bezel that they copy from an existing one wouldn't be one-to-one in size. For example, this is, let's say the crystal is 29.6 millimeters, and if they, for example, polish it, it wouldn't be a perfect circle. So basically I had worries, and this is a technical part and it needs to be perfect in its size, so I wasn't sure about the jeweler method. Anyway, so I actually decided to see whether it can be 3D printed using Shapeways. So I started measuring this case. Before the measurements, let's look at the structure. There is an inner ring here and bezels snap onto this ring. It's a bit curved, so not flat, and they snap on here, and you actually don't see the seam at all. You might even think that the bezels are part of the case, but they are not. To remove them, I have this method of cutting small pieces of old credit cards and sanding them and converting them into sheaves, very thin sheaves. Then I insert the flat part and press it so it doesn't, since it's plastic, it doesn't bend and creates a pressure from in between the case. And when it lifts a bit, insert something else here, another sheave. This way you can remove the bezel safely, but I can't think of any other way of removing it. On some cases there is like a regular case back opening curve on bezels. I've seen it on one case, I don't remember which case, but on regular cases you don't have that. So basically it looks like it's one piece, but it's actually not one piece. It's snap onto there. Anyway, let's look at the measurements. This snap part is 13.96 millimeters, and on the manufactured part I think I aimed for 30.94 instead. So I hope it will be enough to snap on. This is a watch I made from all extra spare parts. So if I get a bezel made for this one, I intend to turn this into another fantasy watch from all extra parts. So the width of the bezel is 33.05. Now here is when it becomes interesting. This one is 32.42, so it's quite different in size. This one is thinner. Also, if you look at the side, this one is actually taller than this one as well. But are the cases different? I don't think they are different, but they are probably different. If you look at this one, if you put this bezel on, if you put the gold bezel on this one, it would probably, it could show the flat area that houses the bezel. Anyway, in conclusion, you just can't get one type of bezel made and expect it to in size be compatible with all watches. For example, this one is a flat bezel watch. Let's look at its dimensions. Probably the same, maybe like a 0.01 millimeter thicker. This one is completely flat. It's very interesting. And this one, the regular bezels, it has a inverse curve here. And I've aimed to replicate this bezel because I actually have an incoming 18 karat gold watch with a missing bezel. At least I assume it's missing its bezel. From the photos, it seemed like it was missing its bezel. Sadly, the competitors, I don't think, noticed that missing bezel. You usually, in some cases, can't notice that the bezel is missing. So I got it for a very high price. And that watch sparked my interest in bezel manufacturing and replication again. And I've aimed to replicate this bezel. Normally I use Tinkercad for designs, but the resulting designs have very few faces. So for this project, it's obviously not possible to have a bezel with visible faces like this. So I've moved on to FreeCAD and learned a bit FreeCAD. I have a lot of respect now that for people who can use CAD products. I think they are very, very complicated. Tinkercad, for example, is very simple, and for a programmer's thinking structure, it's very ideal. You add or remove stuff, and the controls and operations are very intuitive. Anyway, let me show you what I have done and the bezels I ordered on my computer. I've basically I was intending to see how much it was going to cost on Shapeways. This is not that design, but I quickly saw that it would be very, very affordable to get it 3D printed. They actually don't 3D print in brass, bronze, silver, etc. They, I believe, print them in plastic using resin printing, UV printing, and then they cast those parts in actual metals. So it's quite a complicated process, but considering the complicatedness of this process, I think their prices are extremely affordable. It's incredible. Anyway, I then moved on to FreeCAD. FreeCAD, and actually in FreeCAD too, you have to, from preferences, adjust some setting. I don't remember where, but yes, this setting, you have to shrink this deviation, I guess. so that the faces are indistinguishably high. Anyway, it's a very basic shape, replicated from the dimensions I took from the average bezel I've shown. And looking at the Shapeways costs, I decided to order brass. You can have the brass gold plated, and I think it would be very cool to use the brass as it is on a watch as well, because it's very close to color to gold. Then I've decided to order bronze as well. I thought it would be also cool to have a bronze bezel on a watch. Just an interesting idea. And for the steel case I've shown, I've decided to try silver. I think it will be very cool to have a silver bezel as well. Their aluminum is an additive manufacturing process. I don't think they cast aluminum, they print it. So I've checked their aluminum results, and basically it's not watch material. Now, one worry I have about Shapeways results is that they polish these. As far as I've contacted them, they put them in a tumbler, so you don't get the raw product. So what it means is that I've targeted 30.94 millimeters, hoping it would snap onto 30.96 millimeters, but if their tumbling process removes more than 0.01 millimeter from the surface, it's not actually going to snap onto there. So maybe in hindsight it would make more sense to maybe aim for 30.9 millimeters, and then I could manually either use sandpaper to enlarge that snap part to size. But I'm going to see the results soon. Parts are ordered and shipped. It was quite a quick process, and I actually have a friend coming from US. I ordered these to US, but I'm probably not going to wait and ship them to myself to Turkey and go through that stressful customs process. I'm just very excited to finally have them. Anyway, I guess this should conclude the manufacturing and bezel part of C cases. So if you have any watch with a missing bezel, it's a very good idea to just quickly take some measurements and design a part, or ask someone to design it for you, and order one from Shapeways. I will most probably post another result video soon when I get them. Anyway, I guess this concludes this video. Thank you for watching and have a good day.